All right, I know we are waiting for a few more people, but in an effort to respect everyone's time, we will go ahead and get started. We have quite a bit to go over today. In today's webinar, we are going to briefly touch on who BondExchange is as a company, and then we are going to dive in and explore all the different tools that we provide our independent agents so that they can best become a SuretyPro. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I want to go ahead and just do a couple of quick introductions so you understand who's here today. So my name is Taylor Conley. I work in business development here in BondExchange and also agency enrollment. So you've probably gotten an email or a phone call from me. And if not, I look forward to talking to you soon. And we also have with us today, Benton. So Benton, why don't you introduce yourself and your role here?
Hi, I'm Benton Leitz. I'm one of the commercial underwriters here. I also attend some of these conferences across the country, so there's a chance I may have met some of you all there. So I kind of double in business development, and I'm stoked to host this webinar, talk a little bit more about our platform.
We make Benton do a little bit of everything, so. All right, let's dive in. A couple of quick facts. We have been around for quite a long time, as you can see up here. We are licensed in all 50 states, which means our agents can now write bonds in all 50 states. We are appointed with quite a few carriers, so that does give us a rather large appetite. And so we like to say that we write everything. But really, though, when we are thinking about BondExchange, it's important to understand that our purpose and our goal is to provide the very best platform and the very best customer service so that agents who aren't necessarily focused strictly on surety can still get in, write their bonds effectively and profitably, and then get back to the other areas of business that they are focused on. So how do we do this? To start off, we are wholesale only. So we partner exclusively with PNC agents. We do pay 20% commission for all standard bonds and 10% for non-standard. And we do allow our agents to add an agency fee, and that is completely up to your own discretion of how you want to handle that. Another big focus for us is our technology. So we have created an online bond application process that is very intuitive, very easy. I am not an underwriter and I can handle it. So I promise you guys as agents definitely can. If you know the bond that you are looking for, fantastic. If not, we do already have over 10,000 bonds in our system, and you can find them with a simple keyword search. And Benton will show you that in a little bit here. As much as we all love our technology, I will say the thing that truly makes us stand apart are our people. You can see Benton, here's him at one of the many conferences we have sent him off to. He is available, and so are other underwriters from 7 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. You can reach us via chat on our website. You can call us, you can email us, whatever makes the most sense for you. But either way, you will be connected to an underwriter who has the knowledge and the authority to get your bond written for you and send you on your way. So we are definitely here to help, and we love interacting with you guys. So that is just the brief information about BondExchange. Let's dive into why you guys are all really here, which are the tools. So first, we want to explore Easy App. This is that online application where you can pre-qualify, quote, and issue bonds. That includes contract, SBA, and probate. So I am actually going to stop sharing my screen here and let Benton take over and show us how that's done.
Thank you, Taylor. All right. So right when you log in, you'll be brought to this page. This is our welcome dashboard. You'll see here we have an alert center. This is any notifications for your agency or from BondExchange about any new features or any updates. If you scroll down a bit, you'll see you have the option to submit a new quote, look at your policy history, or edit your profile. And then we've also organized here upcoming renewals, pending quotes, and billing and payment due from your agency. So that's all here right on your welcome dashboard. We're going to go ahead and hop right into a new quote. All right, so first it's going to ask if you need it in the state that your agency is located in. We actually are appointed in all 50 states, and when working with us, you would actually be acting as a sub-agent when it comes to the policies themselves. So if your client needs a bond in another state, you're welcome to submit it to us. It's perfectly fine. You can really get a bond quoted for your client in any of the 50 states. But we're going to go ahead and do a North Carolina motor vehicle dealer bond. So we're going to select yes here. And we do know what bond is needed. So it's a motor vehicle dealer bond. If you're not sure, you can click this here. That'll help narrow down that drop-down menu a bit so you can scroll through and find what you're looking for. So this is just a simple keyword search. I think motor is an excellent keyword for this bond type. If you type that in, there it is. And if you're not sure about what the bond is called, you can type in the entity requiring the bond. So in this case, that would be the division of motor vehicles. And here it is right there. So we're going to go ahead and select that to continue. Yes, this is what we're looking for. If it wasn't, it'll bring you right back to that prior step and help you find it. Great. So at this stage, you're welcome to send the application to your customer. You've pre-selected the bond and the amount. So at this stage, the customer can fill in the remainder of the information. This is especially useful if your customer calls you and you want to get this done as soon as possible. You can send it right to them while you're on the phone. As you saw, this process took a few seconds to get started. And this will allow the customer to get their quote instantly online, issue the bond, get a digital copy, and be good to go. They can also sign for the bond on our website. But we're going to go ahead and continue as the agent so I can demonstrate the rest of the stepper process for you. All right, today we are quoting a bond for Joe's Used Cars. And that is an LLC. So you'll be able to select the entity type here as well. And then the initial threshold for this bond type is credit. So the rate's going to be primarily based on credit. However, years in business also does have an impact on a reductive impact on the rate. So if the entity has been in business for a number of years, that will reduce the rate. We're going to select 3 for this example. And you'll just type your customer's phone number and email. All right. And then I also do want to note, if you do run into a situation where you're not exactly sure what the client's information is at that stage, at any point, you can go back to sending this to your client. They can pick up where you've left off, finishing this application online and getting that quote done. So if you click here in this little icon there, you can type in their first, last name, and email. This will forward the application to your customer, allowing them to complete the remaining portions of the stepper application on their end. So we also have an autofill Google feature here. So if an address nearby is very similar to what you begin typing, there you go. You can autofill the rest of the address just by clicking on that drop-down menu there. Make sure you include the suite or apartment as well, as the obligee typically does require that entered onto the bond form. And again, this stepper process is meant to be very straightforward and simple. It's actually designed to be like a conversation you're having with an underwriter. I know many of our agents are not super familiar with bonds. This is meant to be very straightforward, step by step, every question along the way. And we're just trying to make it as easy as possible to get these done online. So in this case, you're able to add a separate mailing address, but in this case, we're not going to, but certainly you're welcome to do that as well. And then we're going to type in our client's first and last name. In this case, it is Joseph Gilson. He is not a real person, and that is intentional. He's one of our Experian examples. So we are not giving you his social security number. This is not a real individual, but we know he has great credit. So we should be able to get a good quote here. All right. And at this stage, you would want to enter the owner's home address. This is used for the soft credit check. In this case, it's an Experian example. Any address will work, but typically you will have to enter a separate home address, especially for motor vehicle dealer bonds, because they need to have an actual physical car lot to have on their policy. So in this case, we're going to say yes, but typically you would have to enter a separate address here. All right, we're not going to add another owner. We're going to imagine that Joseph owns this business in full. All right, and at this stage, you can pick a date, any day prior to today's date for up to 30 days and up to 30 days in advance of today's date. So If it has to coincide with renewals of other policies or whatever, you're welcome to select any of those dates, but we're going to select today just to keep it simple. And now it is reviewing his credit, seeing if it can provide a rate given the date and the terms we've presented thus far. And there we go. Looks like Joe is approved for a motor vehicle dealer bond. These are the different terms we offer. We have 1, 2, or 3 years, but then we also have a very unique monthly subscription option. This will allow the client to pay $38 today and monthly for the duration of the bond term. It's a very simple and easy way. And I think we are the only surety platform to offer such an option. So it's definitely a unique feature you can use with BondExchange. Let's continue here. And this is the portion where you can add a broker fee. So if you want to add that, it'll show up to the customer as a total amount, though their invoice will show a separate service fee. You can add a broker fee of any amount on top of what you will already be receiving in commission, which, as Taylor indicated, is 20% on the vast majority of policies, especially when they're quoted instantly online like this one is. We're not going to add a broker fee to keep it simple in this case. And then here you have another opportunity to send the application to your customer to pay for and sign for online directly on our website. They would only see the end portion of the stepper where they pay and sign for the bond. And this is also where you would want to send it to your customer if you do plan on adding broker fees, because you won't be able to add it if you send it directly to the customer, because we want to make it as simple and seamless as possible. So once that quote is provided to the customer, they're able to purchase it right away. So if you want to add broker fees, you'll have to submit it online and then send it to them at this stage in the process. But we're going to say no so we can show you the remainder of the process for agents. All right. And here you'll be given a PDF application. This is so that your customer can sign for the bond. Pretty much all bonds need to be signed for minus fidelity. So once you get this downloaded, I'll show you what it looks like. It'll present all the terms here. So you have that monthly option, and then 1, 2, and 3 years. A place for the customer to provide their payment information, credit or debit card, any are acceptable. And then they can sign the indemnity agreement here at the bottom. And then once you have gotten that back from the customer, you can simply upload it here. And this one is blank. Yes, we do review this after the fact, but just for the sake of the example, we're going to continue by doing that. And then if your customer is in a rush, most bonds do have to be submitted as an original copy with a raised seal to the obligee requiring it. So in that case, your customer may be in a rush. You can do FedEx overnight for $30. That is a standard rate across the country. They will get a tracking number and will receive the bond the very next day. Otherwise, you can just go with standard. That is on the house. There's no additional cost for mailing this. All right, and here you have the opportunity to add a separate delivery address if you do not want to send it to either your own agency, the customer's address, mailing address, whatever you might have entered previously. You can enter a delivery address here to allow for it to be sent perhaps to their home address. So we're going to say customer, since we're going to imagine that the customer is paying directly and would want the bond to come straight to them. They do have to sign for it in many cases, which is why it is often preferable to send it directly to the customer. And we're going to go with our novel $38 a month subscription option here. All right. And we have the customer's payment information. So we're going to go ahead and use a credit card. We do take e-check payments as well. So if you have their account information, you can add that here. But we're going to go with a credit card. And it looks like we've quoted a bond for this customer before, but just to show you, I'm going to re-enter the card here. This is not a real credit card, so don't try to use it. But this is just for the sake of the example. You can go ahead and add a card very easily, just like that. And at this stage, the system is charging the customer's card, creating the bond form, the invoices, the receipt, and sending out email confirmations to both you and the insured. And there we go. You have the opportunity here to leave us feedback. I'm not going to inflate our reviews here, so I will click X there. but you have the ability to download a copy of the bond immediately, payment receipt, your invoice, the customer's invoice, and return to your dashboard. We're going to hop right back to the dashboard so I can show you just a couple more things before I hand the reins back to Taylor. All right. So the bond we just quoted, you can view from right here, and this will also bring you to your My Agency page. It'll just go straight to the policies tab of that page, and you'll be able to see the bond we just quoted here, Joe's Used Cars. It's issued online pending review of our processing team before it's mailed out. You can also view other items such as your upcoming renewals, any pending quotes. Those are quotes that you've submitted that got referred to an underwriter. You can add payment methods for your agency on this tab. And then you can view your billing and payment. So this will be any balances due to your agency or from your agency. Here you can see that this is in parentheses. We pay commission on a monthly basis for the subscription option. So $7.60 was earned in commission. In parentheses means it's negative, meaning we owe you that balance. So you cannot pay a balance we owe you, but if it was something your agency owed, it would not be in parentheses here. And you would also see a green button here to pay the agent balance due for that policy. And that is if you're issuing it on agency bill. Now I'm going to hop right back over here to the overview page. And here you can edit any information about your agency if needed. And then also we have our SuretyPro, Get SuretyPro button. So Taylor's going to go into a little bit more depth on this feature, but this essentially allows customers to quote bonds directly on your website without leaving your website, and then they're able to get that quote immediately without even calling you or doing anything, just by visiting your website. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this just to demonstrate. It's as simple as copying this code here and adding it to your website editor. Certainly, if you have a development team, it might be beneficial to get them involved, but we do have a few pre-constructed options. We have version 1, version 2, 3, and 4. Copying the text for either any of these will make it show up like this on your website. If you wanted to make it a little more customized to the way your website is set up, you can certainly take this shareable link and program it to be part of a button on your website through your website editor. And we are creating a button option too, because we saw the need for that and that a lot of agents prefer that option. So we are going to have a shareable button pre-made here soon. This is our testing platform, so it's not available yet, but it will be very soon. And with that said, I'll give the reins back to Taylor and let her go into a little more depth on these unique features we offer at BondExchange.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I love SuretyPro. All right, so let's talk about what that means. So as Benton mentioned, this is the ability, that online quoting process that you just saw him walk through, you can put that directly on your website. So these are a couple of examples we already showed. So I want to show you what that looks like in real life. So we're going to take a look at a couple of the agents that we work with and show you how they've done it. So one of our agents, he has a full surety bond page. And when we go there, I promise it's going there. Oh. All right. Technical errors. Let's reload this really quickly. If not, we have other examples we're happy to show you. While that reloads, I'm going to show you another agent that we have. So this is Frank, and he has utilized that shareable link. So you can see on his page, this button on the right-hand side will follow you everywhere you go. He is putting a very strong emphasis on his surety bond business right now. So simply gave the shareable link to his development team. They created this button that matched his agency, his colors, everything of that nature. So what happens when we click on this? Okay, this should look extremely familiar now. So he is in New Jersey. So the first question is going to be in New Jersey. As you can see, his company logo stays on this page. Anybody who goes to his website and starts this knows they're working with Frank Milo still, and they're getting their bond application. So that is huge. And let's see. Let's see if Trey has figured it out. Perfect. Okay. we can handle things on the fly here. So this is going to be one of the versions that we saw from Benton. I believe this is version 2. And so if I click on this to get a quote, so this is now we've created the embedded version. So we're able to hit that button. It stays directly on his webpage. You're not going anywhere else. And again, these questions now will look extremely familiar. You've gone through this process. It will then ask in business name and all of that. So you have the ability to put this directly on your website, send people to get a bond, and start doing the work before you even interact with them. So that is one of our great features here. And we have just one more tool to walk you through. So this is actually my favorite tool that we offer the agents that we work with here. So that would be Book Builder. Book Builder, you will hear me talking about it all the time. I've probably emailed you about it. It is our version of a find an agent tool. So we put out a ton of content. We host fabulous webinars. We put out a lot of blog content, and we have a lot of YouTube content. And so what that does is it drives a lot of people to our website. So we tend to get about 20,000 unique site visitors a month. And a lot of those visitors are retail customers. So we want to find a way to pair those retail customers looking for a bond with the agents that we work with. So we've created this tool to do just that. So if somebody is in need of a bond, they would come here, put in their zip code. We have just one agent in this area, so that made the choice pretty easy. You would view that agent. So this is what the Book Builder profile will look like for our verified agents. So on the dashboard that Benton was showing you on that overview, where you can edit your information, this is what will show up. Your address will show up, the company name, the agent's name, contact information, and then if you add an agency bio, that's what will appear here. So it gives principals a little bit more information about who they're working with, what your agency is about, maybe what other areas of business that you're in. Also, we always recommend putting your logo on there because again, that stays directly on this page and the principal knows who they're working with. So let's say I really needed a motor vehicle bond and I'm in Miami and I find Annabelle. Would love to get a quote for that. There you go. Same process over again. So really, it doesn't matter if people are coming to your website, if they are coming to our website. Our tools are there to help connect principals to our agents and get them a very quick and efficient surety bond done and written. All right. That was a good amount of information in a pretty quick amount of time. We wanted to give enough time for questions here. So I'm going to take a pause and we will check out the questions from you guys.
Really quickly, for those who didn't have audio, this will be recorded. So, we're happy to share that with you. If you weren't able to hear this, we will have it recorded and you can watch it at any time. So sorry about that. I'm not really sure if that was widespread or not, but we will have it recorded. Anyways, do you also write bail bonds? Technically, those are surety bonds. We do not also write bail bonds. Unfortunately, you will have to go to a bail bondsman for one of those. Continuing down here just a little bit. So what is the typical charge we can submit to a customer for doing his bond?
Like a typical agency
fee. A typical broker fee. It really varies on the agencies. Some agencies will do like a standard $50, standard $100. Some agencies will do it as a percentage of the total premium. So it really just depends on your agency's preference. Typically it's not nominal, but it tends to be a little bit larger than the commission you'd receive on those smaller bonds, those license and permit obligations that we see all the time. So yeah, I mean, it really is whatever you want it to be. I think it goes up to 1,000. So whatever you'd like. Continuing here, are there any credit card processing fees to pay for a bond with a credit card? No, there are not. We waive those fees. We take them ourselves. So there will be no additional fee. What you see listed is what you will pay. There are no additional fees.
Do we?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Yeah, do we write contract bonds? So we do write contract bonds. We have a whole contract department. And actually, in the next month or so, we will be hosting a webinar specifically about contract bonds. So feel free in the meantime to give us a call or email us about those bonds, but we definitely will be giving a little bit more content about that because we have seen quite a bit of interest for contract bonds. Okay, Benton, I will give the
So
next one to
sure.
you.
When the app goes to the client to finish for completion, what happens after they complete it? Well, you will be notified every step along the way. Once the quote's provided, you will be given an email notification about that. And once it's purchased, you'll be notified as well. So you will be in the loop every step of the way. You will know when they purchase it, and you're welcome to follow up with them after the fact. But they will be given the digital copy of the policy and their invoice as well, and you'll be sent your invoice separately.
Perfect. Does BondExchange educate agents on surety bonds? We certainly do. So as I mentioned, we obviously host webinars. We have a ton of blog content. I would definitely recommend going to bondexchange.com, hitting the blog page. And you could narrow it down by the state. You can narrow it down by the type of bond. We put out things every single day. Really, we're trying to make our agents look like SuretyPro heroes. Like we want to give you as much information as possible, but we know it's a lot to learn. So I always tell my agents, if somebody does ask you about something specifically, either go on the blog or I will send that blog page to you. And then all of a sudden you'll have tons of answers. But you can always reach out to us. Our underwriters are happy to help and answer any questions that you have.
We actually pick up the phone. So if you call us, we will answer. It will be an underwriter.
It will be a live human.
What types of bonds are considered non-standard? It's not necessary. There are a few niche requirements that themselves are non-standard due to adverse selection. One that comes to mind is a dangerous dog bond. Those are very rare and hard to write. They're in lieu of a liability policy. Most companies will not write that. However, when I refer to non-standard, I primarily am talking about the applicants themselves. So when they don't qualify for standard markets, typically we have to reach out to what are considered non-standard markets because they approve applicants that most surety companies would not approve. These tend to have higher rates and also tend to have collateral, but certainly that would vary based on the bond type and the applicants, how much they qualify for it. So that will vary quite a bit, but non-standard is really just, they don't qualify for the normal markets we use.
Absolutely. Who loads on the agency website? I'm assuming this is SuretyPro. So that would be up to you. So you can definitely load on the website. We always recommend if you have a website developer or if you're working with somebody who created your website or your digital marketing, to just get them involved just so you place the code in the correct place. If you are working with like a Brightfire or somebody like that, I know we specifically do partner with Brightfire and we can kind of help out there. But yeah, we make the code available to you and then it is up to you to put on your website. So there is a step that you guys have to do, but we are happy to talk you through that process and answer any questions. Let's see. How can we be added to the Find an Agent on your website? You become a verified BondExchange agent. So if you are not already an agent, you can reach out to us to get set up. And then as a verified agent, you will automatically be placed in that tool. Our agents can opt out of it for any reason. If they're just too tired of getting so much bond business, they can turn that off. But if not, as soon as we have a verified agent, they will be added into that. So we will be happy to set you up.
And to get started in that process, it's as easy as visiting our website and clicking gain access. We ask for very little information, make it as quick and easy as possible to get set up with us. And there's no commitment, no minimum premium or anything like that. Really, we're just a resource in your back pocket if you need us.
Absolutely. Okay, the widget is good, but first of all, thank you for complimenting the widget. But do you have an API available? We are working on our APIs right now. So we, like Benton said, we go to a ton of conferences. We've met a lot of amazing people in the InsurTech space. So we are working on some pretty fun and exciting APIs. So keep a lookout for different notifications and emails when we do set those up for you guys.
Yes, we do. We write SBA contract surety bonds? If so, who determines whether it's an SBA or standard bonds? you guys are the sub producers. So we do, our contract underwriters are very experienced. They're going to look at it and right off the bat know whether this is an SBA or a standard contract submission. Not only that though, but we've automated that process. So if you go to submit a contract bond online, the system will automatically pick up on whether or not it is an SBA. It would work better with the SBA than it would with our standard markets. It will automatically route you to that application on our system so that you don't have to complete 2 applications, and it will be all the information the SBA needs to get that quoted for you. And I'll answer the next one as well. Do you have fidelity bonds? Yes, we write all sorts of fidelity bonds. Under that category being janitorial services, employee dishonesty, commercial crime, name schedule, those public official bonds, ERISA bonds, we do them all. Yep, we do really everything in the surety industry minus bail bonds. So we accept all.
Credit cards, yeah. I'm not going to answer this, but are there any type of credit cards that you do not accept?
We accept all credit cards. So,
okay.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay, I have a message from Kevin. Kevin, I will reach out to you specifically about this. So I will connect with you and we can have a conversation. Okay, and Benton, what is the next question?
So in most states, can we collect both a commission and a fee? Yes, I believe you can add a fee in every state. Don't quote me on that just in case, but our system should allow you to do that no matter what the case is. I know some states do have rules about that, but I believe you can add a service fee on our website, and that is a little bit distinct from adding a fee to the, the premium itself. That I will have to follow up with you on.
Okay. Let's see here.
So for the SuretyPro option, how can a broker fee be automatically added, or is it not an option? We have been requested to do this quite a bit. It is something we are working on, making that automatic for agencies. Currently, there's no way to automatically add broker fees to SuretyPro, but it is something that should be available in the future.
Okay, perfect. How do new agents sign up to work with BondExchange? Well, this is my favorite question. So you would go to bondexchange.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, there is a very large yellow button that says gain access. So you would do that, fill out the information, it will come to me. I will verify your license and get you all set up. We will also send out some information about this as well, but we would be happy to have you. And Gary Miller, I will reach out to you also to connect with you over your question.
What are the 3 types of bonds that we write most?
Ooh.
Depends on how you categorize them. I mean, overarching categories, I would say license and permit, probate, and contract. If you're getting a little more narrow, we write a ton of motor vehicle dealer bonds, write a ton of contractor license bonds. We write, really a lot of everything. It's hard to, I'd have to get the data on that to know for certain. And it also, like I said, depends on how you categorize them. Write a ton of employee dishonesty, as I mentioned earlier, a type of fidelity bond. Say those are probably up there in at least the top 6 or 7, but I can't tell you the exact 3 categories, but certainly that is an interesting topic. We see a good amount of everything though.
Absolutely. And I will say that I think it varies a little bit slightly depending on state. But if you are an agent who is looking to get into surety, please feel free to reach out to us and we can kind of help you through and give you an idea of where you should be spending your efforts. Another one of my favorite questions here coming up next, we don't have to be licensed in a specific state to sell a bond, right? That is correct. So the way that it works is we are the agent, you are the sub-agent. So we are licensed in all 50 states. So now you can write bonds in all 50 states. So you do not have to, I know you've been turning away a ton of surety bond business, but now you do not have to do that. So any state that your customers are in, any state that they reach out to you, you can do a bond now.
How many standard and non-standard markets do you have access to? And when do you write the bond before the client accepts it? Do you let the customer or the agent know what carrier is writing the bond? So we have a few non-standard market options, and by a few, I mean like a handful, but we have over 30 major carrier appointments for standard submissions, and then a significant amount of in-house authority. So we have a few carriers we have full in-house authority with and can write pretty much anything with them up to a certain level. And then of course, other markets where we can have no restriction of appetite, but will be more external. When it comes to whether or not we will let you know what carrier is providing the policy off the bat, the answer is no. However, if you reach out immediately after getting the quote, we're happy to tell you. I mean, it's not like a secret or anything. It's just not the way the system's designed. If we're, to be able to do that monthly subscription option, it will have to be with one of our in-house carriers. But then, if we're doing other types of policies, that wouldn't be the case. Certainly just reach out if you're ever curious. We're happy, we're always going to write what will be accepted. And yeah, it's going to be a good carrier, but certainly just reach out if you're ever curious.
This one's you, Benton.
Yeah. Can you explain the different types of obligees? Yes. Primarily, they're going to be state regulatory agencies. So the bond we did today, it was a motor vehicle dealer bond. It's the Division of Motor Vehicles Enforcement section would be the state entity, the obligee who's requiring the bond. They require it to get a license. That tends to be the most common case. However, there are other types of obligees. When you're doing contract payment and performance bonds, the obligee could be a state or town or parish, whatever. It could also be a private company requiring the bond to do said project. Another case could be utility deposit bonds. That would be a private company like a power company, and that's guaranteeing that you'll make those utility payments every month. Let's see what else. Probate, I mean, that would be the court. And then in certain matters like civil court matters, it would be the opposing party. Fidelity, the obligee would be the principal. It's a very unique situation for bonds, but yeah, there are a few different types of obligees out there, definitely.
Okay, if we are doing business with you, are we automatically listed in Book Builder? Yes. And I will say, if you are already an agent with us and you are in Book Builder, highly recommend filling out your agency bio. Also, agency logo and agent headshot or anything that you have. It is pretty simple in that dashboard, but if you do have any questions about doing that, I am happy to help either pull a bio from your website, help you write a bio, find the best photo to put on there. Because as you saw from our example, it definitely makes the profile just feel a little bit more robust, and you probably feel more comfortable getting a quote from somebody that you know at least a little bit about. So we definitely will do that. Where do we log in to see the recorded video? We will email them.
I can demonstrate really quick where the bond is on the dashboard. Let me do that very, very quickly.
Okay.
So here, this is where I left off. If you go to so this is where it is on the agency overview page. It's going to be the most recent one. You'll see that ID brought to the top here, but on your so you can click view there, but also if you're on the dashboard, you will be able to access it the exact same way with a view button, except it'll just be in a slightly different place. It will be in, oh, my bad. It actually won't, it'll be right here. Yep, policies. There we go. And if you click that, you'll have access to it, be able to download the policy, see the term, and any other information about the bond. See, this looks a little bit different than the end of that stepper process. You have all the information listed here in front of you. If the balance is due, you can also pay it here. You can make changes to the bond, making, riders if an address is changed, or if you're requesting a term date change or an increase, all of that can be done from this page. If it's something that needs to be reviewed by an underwriter, it would get referred, but all riders, all changes to a policy can be executed right here. Okay.
Perfect. See, and that's why I bring Benton. He has all of the all of the back end answers. Okay, we have just a few more questions here for you guys. When the California contractor bond renewals are sent out, does the original broker fee pass along with the new renewal quote?
So if you plan on adding broker fees on renewals, make sure your agency preference for renewal mailing is set to agent. If you are set to direct, your customer will receive the invoice pretty shortly after we put the quote into the system. So if you want to be able to add broker fees for the time being, you'll have to be an agency for renewal mailing, agency billing for renewal, because that is just where we're going to mail those invoices. And that'll give you plenty of time to look at the invoices, look at the renewal quotes, add the fees accordingly, and then forward those to your customer either from the system or through your own invoice that you create.
What else? Okay, this will be, yep, it will be recorded.
This one's more for the contract team, but I can touch on it a bit. How long does it usually take to get a performance and payment bond approved? What percentage of performance and payment bonds are not approved? That would be an interesting data to get, definitely. They tend to be the most difficult bonds to qualify for. They typically require, depending on the amount. I mean, if it's below 100,000, it certainly could go to the SBA, even when credit isn't the strongest. But if we have all the materials needed the day we get that submission, which is, tends to be our completed contract app, audited financials, if it's above a certain amount, I believe it's $1 million. And we have the indemnity agreement signed. We have a copy of the contract or bid if it's a bid bond. So once we have all those materials, I mean, it's as easy as us approving. If everything's qualified and we have all those materials, I mean, that's it. We could do it same day. I would say they tend to take 2 to 3 days, maybe, just because gathering all that information. Usually an agent will come to us without anything. We'll just be told that their customer needs a payment and performance bond, subdivision bond, whatever it may be. They're just told they need that without really being provided any specific information. So once we tell them that, the customer has to gather it, get it back to us. It's really that back and forth that happens a little bit before we can issue it. But if we have everything we need and they're qualified, it could be issued that day.
Perfect. And then last question, Carl, I will get with you on that one. But last question, if we have multiple agencies in different states, can we add them to find an agent? So we can do a couple of different things here. If you have one agency, so the find an agent tool will actually list the agents based off of what the agent's address is. So each agent will have their own address if they want to adjust that, and that way they can show up in the state that they specifically are in. Or if you are a very large office and you do have entities in multiple states, we can set up accounts for, insurance brokerage A in Colorado, insurance brokerage A in Nevada, whatever it might be. We can set it up a couple of different ways. So it just kind of depends on the setup of the agencies and the agents. But we are happy to work with you on that. So if you're already an agent, feel free to reach out to me and I will help you with that. And if you are a new agent, then let me know that in the setup process and we can do that for you properly. But I think that is all the questions and we are just about out of time. So I just want to thank everybody for hopping on here today. I know you all are very busy. I'm glad we can have this surety conversation, get everybody excited about writing bonds. And thank you to Benton. I pulled him away from underwriting to answer these questions for you. So really appreciate it. If you are, like I said, not already an agent, be on the lookout for an email from us to gain access to that platform. And we will also send the recording as well. So thank you again so much, and we'll see you on future webinars.